grade 12s. In today's lesson we are going to go through a few practical things concerning your PAT. Remember, the PAT is your practical assessment task, and it counts 25% of your year mark. So it's very, very important that you put 100% effort into doing your PAT, because it really can bring up your marks or bring down your marks if you don't put a lot of effort into it. So today we are going to just look at questionnaires, gathering info and data, what a formal word report should look like, and how we're going to use our spreadsheets and databases. Okay, let's look at the questionnaires. From grade 10 and 11, Pat, you do know that in order to gather information, you need to set up a questionnaire. So before you can set up a questionnaire, you need to ask yourself what you want to learn from your questions. And you've got to remember that the information that you gather in your questionnaires has to be put into a spreadsheet. So you need appropriate data, grade 12s, and not long sentences. So you need basic yes, no answers, and very, very important, you need some question that's going to give you some sort of a figure, because we need figures in our databases. So now there are three basic types of questionnaires. You've got questionnaires with closed questions. So it's a straightforward answer like yes, no. Then we have a quantitative questionnaire, which gives you a variety of answers like aware, very aware, unaware, often, sometimes, never. And then we have a qualitative questionnaire that will give you an exact response. For instance, if you ask somebody how old they are going to give you an exact response. So now once you've gathered your information in your questionnaire, you can transfer it to a spreadsheet. And then other ways of getting information is the internet. You can interview people. So before you actually think about how you are going to get your information, you need to find out what sort of information you need. And a helpful thing for you would be to use a table like I've got in my example. So first of all, you're going to write down a number of questions that you're going to ask to gather the information that you need. And then you're going to divide your questions into various headings so that they can be grouped logically. It just makes it easier to find the info, and then reproduce your report at the end. So in your table, you are going to have your heading, whatever it may be. Then you are going to write your question down, the level of the question, and the source. Now the source is where you are going to go and find your information. So once you've completed your table for all your questions, you can go and look up the information from your sources, and you can use the internet. You can go and gather your information via your questionnaires. You can do your interviews, and you can put it all together into one document. Okay, now once you've gathered your information and you have sifted through the information that you need and you don't need, you're going to use your report to analyze, evaluate, and make recommendations. And the layout of your report, remember this is a word report, has to take on a specific layout. You need, your very first page has to be your title page. After that, you need a table of contents, which you will obviously generate last because you have to do your whole report first. Then you need an introduction. And in this case, grade 12, your introduction is basically your task definition in the past tense, where you tell the people what you have done. Then it's your body, and that would be the answers to your questions that you have divided up into the various headings. Then you are going to make your recommendations and or findings. So you are going to say that I recommend that, or I found that. So it's very important that you use the word I in your recommendations. Then your conclusion is basically a summary of what you've put in your report. And then last but not least is your bibliography, which is quite important. And it has to be set out in a specific way, probably the Harvard method. Right, so now we are going to get all the information we need from our spreadsheets. And we can use a spreadsheet to group and sort the data that you've collected from your surveys. You can use calculations and formulas and functions to extract specific information. And most importantly, you can use charts to illustrate specific information. Now, you must remember, grade 12s, that everything you write in your report, any facts that you state in your report, must be backed up with information that you found or evidence. So if you make a statement and you can back it up with a chart, you need to insert that chart in your report. Or if you've done a calculation and you want to put that in your report, you need to do that as well. And then our database, how do we process information in our database? We can further analyze the data that you've gathered. You can create tables, but remember, when you create your table, make sure you have proper field names and suitable data types. You are then going to use queries to extract specific information, and it's queries that you can use as a backup in your report. And then obviously you are going to use your database report to illustrate your findings. And grade 12s, that's a very quick wrap up of what your PAT consists of. Until I see you in the next lesson.